We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those.
Something big about to happen. I hear the beat tapping. We some fly rhyming felines rapping on the track. Better yet, grab a gat, cause we hot like Enzo. Doors closed, windows up, cause that's the way we like to ride. Windy City hitting. Check mic 1 2 1 2. We live, baby.
What's going on? I am live for the first time in probably several years for this interview with MzHipHop star. We did a little bit different. I'm going live, she'll join my live. So join us. Chloe, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for being here. I need to make sure I can be heard because I am outside on the roof in the middle of Midtown Manhattan where it is quite loud. Hello? How are you?
Hey, SoSoon. I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm well. Happy Saturday to you.
Yeah, happy Saturday to you too, man. I apologize to everyone out there because this live was supposed to go on my page, and it's just a sign that I have to go back to square one and start doing Zoom again versus going live because this is ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pros and cons to all of it, but I totally get it. That's why this is at this point so far beyond me. But I got good news for you. Because
What?
this is going on my live, that means I'm interviewing you today. No, I'm joking.
You so silly. All right. Well, let's get started. I do a little countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, Chicago? And welcome back to Speak Your Mind Radio, episode 552. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Queen Star, aka MzHipHop. And today you all will be interviewing lyricist from Queens, New York, SoSoon, on his newly released track called Move Around. We also will be discussing mental health awareness in the hip hop community, and we will be discussing SoSoon's fashion sense. I know you guys are interested in that. So let's make sure we give him a warm welcome. Without further ado, bringing up next to the mic, SoSoon. Yay!
Live from Midtown Manhattan was good.
Everything is good. How you doing?
I've had some really bad back pain today, but I'm persevering through it with some good old Prosecco.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
Old, God, I'm old.
Well, you certainly don't look it. Okay.
So I guess something's working.
Wait, you said what?
I said that's what I hear all the time. I don't look my age, so I guess something's working.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Keep it up. Okay, SoSoon. So, as you know, we always do an icebreaker question for all the artists that step on the show. So, let's get started.
Let's.
Um, SoSoon, what's the craziest event or thing that's happened to you while riding the train?
Let me see. What's the craziest? The first that comes to my mind is not one I'm happy to share. Well, I almost got jumped by some bloods several years ago because I had a red cardigan on. I was in Queens. Actually, I'm lying. I was coming from Queens en route to Brooklyn. I don't know where I was going. But I had a red cardigan on, and some bloods was getting off the train. And fortunately, I had my homies with me because it would have been a wrap. I'm not even going front. So that would probably be the craziest thing that has happened to me. Yeah, other than that, like riding the train for 25 years because I went to college. I started college in 2000. So, and that's when that's a lot because I was riding the train when I was in high school, but like going to the city, no. But that's the thing that comes to my mind. The craziest thing that comes to my mind in about 25 years of riding the train independently. I'm sure there's other things I can't think of, but that taught me, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but literally thinking about the song Move Around, in the second verse, I say, Mama taught me vigilance, Nina taught me kill the fits. And that's the kind of vigilance you have to have when you're moving around this city. So,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, that's a really rough way to start the interview, but with this fear that that's going to happen. But I do run around with the mindfulness that anything at any given moment could happen.
Yeah, most definitely. Before we like continue to jump into the song, because we just kind of did right now, I want to talk about the cover art of the song. It's kind of funny because you have like the map of the MTA, and you land on the train on top of the train. Like I don't know, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I designed it. I've been designing pretty much all of my cover art since the pandemic, singles, albums, etc., etc. And I'm not like one of these MCs. Like, one of the things I give a lot of my peers respect for is their ability to tap into abstract thought. I can do it, but it's not like one of my strong suits. So I'm like very literal. So my artwork, when I'm interpreting what the messages I want to get across in the lyrics and the art, it's pretty straightforward. And so I was thinking very much about the train system. And funny enough, the MTA, the Metro Transit Authority in New York City, they recently updated their train maps for this new design that's supposed to be kind of more streamlined and easier for people to look at when they're looking at maps. And so I wanted to like strike on that. I think I created the cover art maybe about a week or two after they made this announcement. And the metaphor of laying on the train is literally this perspective of I'm comfortable. Like I buffer that statement with the understanding that there's a certain privilege to that. Like, for example, I feel like women in all cases can't necessarily say that they have that same level of comfort. So I acknowledge that as a man, that's probably a little bit unique from my experience. But generally speaking, I'm really comfortable when I'm on the trains. And so it's like, yeah, I'm laying on the top of the train, chilling. And then the other piece that was really important for me is that if you look closely, especially for those who know New York well and understand how to look at the train map, all the train lines are all Queens train lines. So I literally zoomed into the section of the map that really reflects, like, not only are they train lines, but they're the two most relevant lines for me being from Queens, which are the E and the F.
Mm.
And so I'm pretty sure the train is laying on a E line track so that the viewer, if they're really paying that much attention, can actually see the F, but I might have put it on the F because that's my home train line. I forget how I did it, but it's either on one or the other. And then you have the yellow line trains that run through Queens and the brown line as well, which is the J train. So that was very intentional.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I think a lot of things that you do are intentional. And speaking of intentional, let's get into the song. Why don't we? Um, Personally, I really like the track because it gave me a visualization of what it would be like riding the subway in New York, and especially in the Queens area. Because I was looking at like I said, the cover art, and I got the song from Grand Master Flex, and it's called "The Message." You kind of reference that in the song a little.
Grandmaster Flash? Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you you referenced that in the song as well, because although his message was different, he's talking about the environment of New York, and you're talking about the stage of the train in New York, and I think that's really cool.
Ah, thank you for that. Thank you for making that connection. Yeah, Grandmaster Flash, somebody who teaches hip hop here and there. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and that song, The Message, is super important because it's one of the first hip hop songs to go to like experience commercial success. And to do it, to me, it represents a few things. It represents the kind of music that I've always tried to make. I'm not always successful because sometimes it becomes really real and I kind of forget this piece, but it's this notion of like that song is really about the hardships of growing up in the Bronx, which is not where I'm from. But as a New Yorker, I can relate to certain elements of it. But the piece that's really important is that it samples disco music and it has this really danceable beat. And so what they were able to do in the 70s was take a conscious content song but still make it danceable. And I feel like sometimes, myself included, we as hip hop artists forget that it can be fun too, whether it's lyrical, serious, and obviously those two can operate as separate or um, shared entities. But like, there's a fun element in hip hop that sometimes we lose track of, and so I think that that song does a good job of capturing that. This is not a danceable song, Move Around, but it's very head nod heavy. It's very 90s boom bap, which is, you know, the era that I'm from, the era that I create from a bass from. And yeah, it's not, the goal is not necessarily to be socially conscious, but it is to really reflect the true working class New York experience, which is what I think a lot of my music does, or at least aspires to do. So I'm really proud of the end result that came from this.
Yeah, you definitely should be. And I wanted to ask you, the producer, what's his name, Cooley High? Yeah, like, so how did you, I mean, did you just like have a conversation with him and tell him your idea and he was like, he went off that, or did he already have something cooked up?
I'm gonna try to give the most succinct answer to this question. So the first part is that I've known Cooley High for, I'd say, 2/3 of my career as a hip hop artist. PA, what's up? Josh, what's up? Act One, what's up? I'm sorry, I haven't been live in so long. I forget some of like the natural order of things. Just letting people know that I see that you're here and I appreciate you being here. So shouts to my peoples that are here. Um, I've known Cooley High for about 15 years, give or take. We've worked on music prior to this, but this is our first time working on a full-length project, and this is actually the second single from the project. Um, the process has been, he just sends me a ton of beats, and I choose which ones I want. Sorry for the background noise. I am in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, all right. Somebody needs some saving. Um, the process is he sends me beats. I choose which ones I like, and he just lets me go. Sometimes when I send him back recordings, because I record all of my own music, he made the production, but he also engineered all the songs. So he mixes and masters everything. And I also, by the way, I also don't want to minimize his role because he's not just a beat maker. I call him a conductor because he knows how to play multiple instruments. It amounts to boom bap, mostly boom bap and trap sounding hip hop, but I call him a conductor because he knows how to, like, once I send him back the recorded lyrics, he knows how to take them and restructure the elements of the beat around certain things I'm saying and doing. But he's also very receptive to my creative capacities and very trusting of what I do. And so, yeah, he doesn't really hold a large hand or hold a heavy hand in the process of what I'm writing. He just trusts that I'm going to send back something that we can both agree upon. And we're batting 1,000 right now in that arena. And so, but the other thing that I should say that's really important, that's worth discussing without getting into too much details, is that this beat was actually originally going to be a battle record. I had some static with some folks that I know, without getting into a long story, and unprompted, they were coming for me and my peoples, and songs that are out actively. You could go on Spotify or streaming platforms and find them. And people know that if you know me, I think at this current moment, those who are in the live, everybody knows me, and so you know me well enough to know that I'm a man of peace. And so, like, I heard it and was like, nah. Heard another one, I was like, nah, it's not worth the energy. And then after a while, I just got fed up. So I did write and record a battle record to this beat. Then I'm laughing because it's actually not funny, but I'm just laughing because life is just really strange. Somebody that was connected to this collection of individuals that I knew and worked with passed away suddenly.
Oh, wow.
Fine. We were fine, by the way. So he had nothing to do with this beef, but his passing made me reflect on, was it worth exhausting energy into entertaining this beef after all. And then I discussed it with my engineer. And this was one moment where he did give some advice. He said, yeah, nah, you have to really like stay grounded in your energy and your connection to the universe and recognize that just certain things aren't worth exerting energy into. So, especially after the passing of the gentleman, he was for it when that prior to this news happening. And then once I shared that with him, he was like, yeah, nah, you should, if that's what your energy is telling you, you should follow that and trust that. But the beat was still dope. And so then like the album was recorded. I think we have it's either 9 or 10 songs total, but we had all the songs for the most part. And I'm still thinking about this beat. And then I just started like one day saying to myself, move around. That's how I move. I was like, holy shit. And then I like turned the beat on. I was like, does this make sense? Sure does. And then it was simple, because, as I talk about in the intro of the song, my pride is very high for New York, being a New Yorker, but also for the mode of transportation that I choose to use. Because, and I live in Midtown Manhattan, there's no reason to have a car in Midtown Manhattan. I don't need it. I have access to most of the relevant train lines. And so, yeah, I wanted to really talk about like when there's like in New York, there's a lot of like complaining and bickering, rightfully so, about the transit system. But I've traveled around the world and around the country enough to know that it's still one of the best transit systems. And so that's really why I wanted to make this song.
Wow. That's incredible. And going back to the song and paying so much respect to your environment and which you're from, I like the line where you actually, you know what I'm saying, you give respect to certain rappers like Juvenile. But anyway, you go, if you new in town, move, bitch, get out the way. It's quite ludicrous, stomping in my Air Force Ones, you Saint lunatics. Wow. Be slow motion, blocking the way with your Juvenile. Um, I don't know. I like the way you come up with your rhymes, you know what I'm saying? And you have a special cadence in your voice. It's kind of like, I'm not, swear to God, I'm not comparing you to nobody because you're your individual self, but you take me in the mind of kind of like some of the conscious mainstream rappers like J. Cole, you know, because he tells a story and I follow the story. You know, it's easy to follow, but your rhymes, they hit hard and they make you visualize exactly what's going on. So how has your rhyme, your flow been like that all the time you've been rapping, or have you just developed that?
I think I always say that the two strongest assets that I have as a hip hop artist, as an MC, are my flow. Three: my flow, my cadence, and my ability to tell a descriptive story. Those are the three strong suits that I have. I think that I agree, and I'm humbled whenever people compare me to the likes of J. Cole. It's funny because it's like we're in the same age group. Obviously, he has commercial success. I don't, but I'm humble enough to acknowledge, regardless of the fact that we're the same age, give or take a year or two, that he is one of the most talented of our generation. And I would say that what makes him stand out for me, and I'm not afraid to say stuff like, and that's the problem. I think hip hop is both very competitive, and with that, people are afraid to be very honest about what they do. I think that what makes J. Cole stand out differently from what I do is he is far more lyrical than me. I would be likely bodied if I tried to go bar for bar with him. Like, I know how to hold my own, but if I were attempting to go bar for bar metaphors and like the lyrical candy, that's just never been my lane. But if we were saying, let's see who can tell the best story, I could compete. If we were saying, who could make the best music, if I had the resources that he had, I might be able to compete there. And then, and the other thing I would add, because actually this is not discussed enough, and I don't give myself enough credit for this. I'm a damn good performer.
Yeah, you are.
To say that I could go toe to toe with any major MC, mainstream artist, on stage, because I know how to write music that can galvanize attention from a live audience, and I just know how to do more than just this standing in one section of the
Yeah.
stage. It's kind of like almost miming, bringing to life the lyrics. The story's already there most of the time when I'm rapping. So then it's just like, what gestures can you make to like bring the lyrics to life? And then the cadence comes back in when you're performing live because it brings extra emphasis to things that the words that I'm saying. So those are my strong suits. Yeah.
Facts, definitely. I I noticed that when you like traveled the world, you went outside the country, and you had like footage behind the scenes of you guys performing on stage, and I'm like, man, so this guy really do got the energy that I thought that he had in the States that he does have overseas too. Because if anytime you can rock a crowd that's, you know what I'm saying, possibly never been in the same room with you before, you definitely have a gift because there's not too many rappers out there that can hold the mic and rock the mic. You know what I'm saying? And you got it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I can come to Chicago one day. That one of my dreams is to actually be able to perform in Chicago, and then hopefully you can be there and actually see it in person. Like I said, it's definitely one of my strong suits. It's something I spent a lot of time and energy, perfecting, and going back to the King of Gung Hill. What's up? Act One. What's up? I see ya. Um, Going back to the static that I had with some fellow MCs, my thing is that like, yeah, sure, we can battle and trade like lyrical assaults and all that stuff and get lost in the hyperbole and who's got the most punchlines and metaphors and oh, he said that. But like my thing is, especially at this stage in my career, and knowing what I do well, like why would I play your game? If you want to show that you're a true MC, meet me anywhere and we could do a song battle. We could perform live and go 5 for 5 songs. We could do an be live and go 5 for 5 songs, and let's see if you can match up. And
Wow.
I'd be hard pressed to find many people who could outdo me in either or of those arenas. So again, I know what my strong suits are, and if you haven't seen it, if you live in New York, you should make some time to see it. It's worth the cost of the price of tea in China.
Definitely. And Almighty Yacht One says, same. Chicago, one of my fave cities. Would love to do a show there. Well, come on, bring your ass on. Let's do it.
I've known that man for, at this point, longer than I haven't known him, over half of our lives. And a fellow MC, we've been touring together the last couple of years. He is one of the dopest MCs I know. Thank you for being here. We have a couple of songs together. He is also he is a Queens resident. He is a New York native, a Queens resident. I'm a proud Queens resident, so huge shouts to my brother.
Definitely. Huge shout outs. Thank you for everybody that's tuned in tonight. I really appreciate you guys. SoSoon, I want to talk to you. I want to just get straight into it because me personally, I love your style. I like the way you look, your aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? I'm like being professional here when I'm saying this because it matches your energy within when you are performing. So it all is like one full circle when I tell you this. But on a personal level, where do you get your style from?
Um, Excuse me, sorry, drinking this prosecco. But drinking this prosecco is actually quite relevant to the answer your question, and also very relevant to why I wanted to do this interview today. Today marks what would have been my grandmother's 86th birthday. She passed away 20 years ago this coming Monday.
Wow.
So she passed days after her 66th birthday. And so today would have been her 86th birthday. And so I knew I was releasing a single around this time. And you and I behind the scenes have been talking for some time about when was I going to come back to Speak Your Mind and do another interview, but I wanted to wait till I had something relevant. And, like I said, the release of this second single is a good time, but also the timing of the release aligning with today. So, for the world, today is the summer solstice, the first day of summer.
Mm.
I didn't think about this because I wasn't like heavy, and I'm not now heavy into horoscopes, but I believe in horoscopes and believe there's some truth to that and cosmic energy and all that stuff. I didn't look at June 21st as the summer solstice until I was a little older. It was just simply my grandmother's birthday. And
Wow.
yeah, today is always a fascinating time of the year. Or this time of the year is also always fascinating because it's an energy that I have to be mindful of between like late teens of June and then mid 20s of June. Because again, I'm thinking about my grandmother's birthday and sunset every year. I'm thinking about my mom wanting to know that she's okay mentally and emotionally as well. And then the emotions for me ebb and flow from year to year. Like even as I'm talking about it now, I'm feeling a little emotional, but I'm also in a space of gratitude to even just have a few moments to talk about my grandmother. So going back to your question, she is where I get my fashion sense from. These bracelets, many of them are hers, but I've added to the collection. So I'd say I have 11 on between the two arms. It's not my entire collection, but of the 11 I have on now, I think about 4 are hers, actually, funny enough. And then one is my mom's. And then the rest I actually purchased over the last decade or so. And the extra piece to that I would say is that I've tried to make it my business now that when I travel, especially outside the country, if I find places that sell silver, I try to get silver bangles as well from those places. So this bracelet right here is from Ghana, as well as this ring. Let me see. Grandmother, mother, Jamaica Avenue, Ghana, grandmother, Mexico City about 2 months ago, grandmother, somewhere in Europe, I think, I forget, I want to say Amsterdam. This was Mexico City, and then my grandmother. So yeah, I've just been adding to the collection. But yeah, that's where I get my fashion from. So it's the bracelets, it's the even being bold enough. So when I started growing my hair out a few years ago, which is the only time in my life that I've actually grown my hair out, it was really just to wear it in a up fro hawk. It's too fucking hot for that today. And also I had to figure out how to protect my hair when I go to sleep. It's just been a whole learning process for me to keep my hair because like I said, I've never had my hair this long. But even now to the point where like wearing my hair like this with 4 buns or whatever you want to call it, started from this is around the house to there was just days where I was going out the house like I don't have time to do my hair and I don't have the energy to do it. And this is now like a style. And just like being comfortable in it and knowing that like I can pull it off because I'm me. And so but yeah, the confidence to wear bright colors and take fashion risk and stand out like that's hip hop, but that for me personally it's a homage to my grandmother.
That's beautiful. So, if your grandma was still here today, what do you think that she would have to say about SoSoon's music career?
I think she'd be proud of the whole thing, especially the fact that I was pursuing something that I'm passionate about. I think she would be especially proud of the kind of music I make at this stage of my career. I don't know that she would embrace the cursing that I do, which I don't curse a lot, but I don't know. I don't. She heard a little bit of my music before she passed. She saw me perform once, but I was still a young pup back then and just still trying to figure things out and what that sound was. I wasn't even so soon when my grandmother. I might have been so soon for a short. Yeah, I was for a short period of time. I had transitioned from my previous name to SoSoon at some point before my grandmother passed. But I think she'd be proud of this arc of like working class Black New York experience because that's what she was. And she did it with a lot of grace and a lot of style, and she was also a very compassionate and giving person, but also had that New York toughness about her where you wasn't going to pull no bullshit on her. And very proud of what I was doing and what I was talking about, and be very excited to sit and listen to me break down lyrics or listen on her own. Yeah, so I truly wish that she could be here to I had, but I know she's looking from above. And her spirit's with me all the time. That's why I wear the braces, because the audible sound of this dangling is a reminder of my grandmother's energy. It's protective energy. It's a constant reminder to just try to be the best person you can be at any given moment. So yeah, I think that she'd be proud though.
Yeah, I think that she would too, and I think she is protecting you as well, and you know that, and you feel that, so that's a beautiful thing. I wanted to also like talk to you about just briefly because I know we're talking about move around, but Life Be Life and the project. When are you going to drop it?
Yeah, so I like to release most of my projects these days, or at least have important musical releases around the time of my birthday, because I feel like, excuse me, it's a easier sell to tell people like, you don't gotta buy me anything, just go listen to the music. If the music is available for sale like on a Bandcamp or like a iTunes or something like that, then yeah, if the spirit moves you and you have the financial means to do so, then of course please support fiscally. But like these days, what I really truly care about is that people are gonna listen and consume it with their ears and their minds, because I put a lot of time and effort into writing. Like I'm not one of those. I've in 25 years I've never mastered the art of like quickly writing a song. It takes several minor writing sessions to get it done. It's like I'll sit for a few minutes and try to make a few words come to the page. It might be hit or miss at that point. Then the inspiration might hit me a few days later, a few weeks, a few months later. And I just trust that process as much as possible and try not to rush it. But the result is that I'm always gonna give high quality music regardless of how long I decide to continue doing this. And so, yeah, I haven't solidified a date, but it'll likely drop around late November. My birthday is late November, and I'll probably do some sort of physical release party for it. I might do like a physical and virtual listening party before the actual release. I know that when I do a release, I'll probably wind up performing at least half of the songs, have a few of my friends come out and perform or whatever, whatever. So, but yeah, we're looking at it like a November timeline right now.
That sounds so much fun, and I know it's going to be successful too. So, when is your birthday? Like, what sign are you?
Um, Early Sag, November 28th. So my birthday was for better, for worse, not even for better. For worse, my birthday was on Thanksgiving this past November. That happens about once every 5 years. I hate it every time because fuck that holiday. Um, and then the difficult part is that because my birthday is around on or around the holiday every year, I always have to plan like when because I don't always honestly I don't always have the energy for big celebrations, but when I do, I always have to have them like early mid-November because I know people will be in town. People won't be full off of Thanksgiving food. And I also again I say this both jokingly and seriously, like I am 42, and with that comes the understanding that my peers are also in or around their 30s and 40s, and we don't got the same energy to be out and about from 10 p.m. to 4 in the morning, just keying it up around town or whatever. And so imagine trying to ask people to come out and celebrate me on the day on Black Friday, like the day after Thanksgiving or the day prior when they're about to like travel out of town to go see family or they're receiving family. Now we gotta cook, we gotta. So yeah, that's not always fun that I have to like do a pre-celebration weeks before my birthday, but I've learned how to embrace it as best as possible considering the circumstances. So
Definitely, definitely. That's the busy time of year to have your birthday around. And you're a Sagittarius. My mom's a Sagittarius. Her birthday is around Thanksgiving too. So yeah, she doesn't like it either. So it's like when you cook it in the kitchen and you don't want to eat your own food because you've been in there all day. So
well, you
yeah.
tell your mom I said she's an amazing human just by virtue of the fact that she's a Sag.
I will tell her. Huh?
I said I've never met a bad Sag.
Right, right, right. Me either, to be honest. I'm serious. But
I may or may not. No, I've met many. I just can't think of many off the top. And most of the Sages I know is December Sages, obviously because there's only 7 days in November for you know. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just
You said what?
shouts to all my Sages.
Hell yeah. Shout out to all the Sagittarius and the Leos too, period.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you say so
I
soon?
said, my favorite Leo, my partner, is watching live now.
Oh my God.
So
Your girlfriend's a Leo. That's crazy.
I said tongue in cheek, shout out to all the Leos. It's a constant back and forth, fire on fire. It's a constant back and forth. But no, I love her dearly. Shouts to Sam. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all your amazing Leo energy.
That is so beautiful. And they said that Leos and no, Leos and Sagittarius get along. No, that's something else. Well, anyway, yeah. Um
We don't actually get along, but we make it.
I get it. I get it. Trust me. Trust me. I freaking get it. My partner is a Scorpio and we are not supposed to be together, but we make it work.
All of my best friends are Scorpios, including my brother Tony Dimes, my performance partner, who's here now. Shouts to him for being here. But it's the strangest thing. I don't seek them, but it just happens that all of my I have like four or five of my closest friends, I want to say, are Scorpios. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Tony Dimes. I see you. I wanted to talk to you about like your grind. Like when you're in the middle of like chaos and the world is kicking your butt, you know what I'm saying? How do you keep your mental in check?
Uh, I mean, again, I think most of the people in Alive who are currently in Alive know me, but so they'll probably know the answer. But I don't talk to people. I just tune out. I I'm gonna chalk it up to being an only child. I know it's not the only reason, but I think that being an only child really has made me comfortable with being by myself and being one with my thoughts. And so I realized that, first of all, this technology, like you and I being on a live, you being in Chicago, me being in New York, I don't think that we as a society take enough time to pause and think about how crazy that is, right? This is the shit that growing up, if you're of a certain age, you saw in movies and you could imagine it then, but like to see it in existence it continues to be mind-boggling to me. But with these evolutions of technology, what we also don't talk about enough is the fact that the technology is still young, and as such, we don't have common standard practices for how to navigate it in a healthy way. And so what I find is that the older I'm getting, the more I'm being mindful on a daily basis of how much I allow myself to be exposed to like social media. But then that also applies to real life. It's like, how much time and energy am I going to give to dealing with bullshit? You know what I'm saying? And so like, I just try to be very cognizant of minimizing bullshit as much as possible. And when it becomes too overwhelming, um, and I don't recommend this for everybody because I feel like some people shut down and shut out, and then they don't take help when it's needed. For me, it's that it could be a bit of shutting down, but the taking space is needed for me to be able to reset. I find that when sometimes I have no problem talking about my issues. I wholeheartedly believe in mental health. I worked in mental health and youth development, and that was where I learned a lot about the importance of mental health, and have since then done my small part to try to debunk the taboos associated with mental health, particularly in Black and Brown communities. I've been in therapy. I can say openly and transparently that my partner and I go to couples therapy.
That's good.
I say these things out loud because I dare a nigga to say something disrespectful about me because I go to therapy. You couldn't. You're not flyer than me. You're as smart, maybe smarter than me. You might be more successful fiscally than me, but you're not more certain about who you are than I am. So you couldn't tell me anything about like try to play me because I go to therapy because I've been to therapy. Like you couldn't do it if you tried. You know what I'm saying? So I have no problem saying that openly and honestly. And I recognize the true value in talking to a professional about like the things that happen. I currently don't have my own therapist, but if I felt like it was at that point that I needed it, I would have no issues going and finding somebody and doing what needs to be done. So, but for me at this stage of my life, it's really just stepping back, taking the phone out of my hand, not accepting every text that comes in, not answering every phone call that comes in, and just really taking time to myself to reflect. That's what I do to reset, to decompress, and just to make sure that I keep a level mind and yeah, that yeah, just level mind and emotional energy.
Yeah, that's a good way to keep it balanced. I mean, I know you think it's a bit taboo just to shut down, so to speak, or tune out everything, but it's really not. I think that's natural, you know. So I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so soon it was really nice talking to you. I just want to ask you one more question. Are you going to perhaps have a visual for move around? Because I like the little promo you did with the car. That was so freaking funny. I was rolling. I was laughing my head off about that. I was like, I love this. I love stuff like that. So are you going to have a visual for us?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So I'm just trying to, the one thing I'm trying to do that I've not historically done a successful job of doing as a independent artist is really spending enough time promoting the music. It's like drop it and then you promote it for like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and then I've seen a lot of social media posts about this lately about like what it means to be an independent artist. Act One, my brother who's here, he talks about it a lot. Like we didn't sign up to like make music, promote, uh, and all the arms and legs that come with being an independent artist, but we're in a time where you have to know how to do a little bit of everything if you want to see the best, the most chance of your music getting to the most ears and the most success, however you may define success. And so I'm not going to make the mistake because I really love this song and I just am trying to learn from mistakes. I'm not going to make the mistake of just like promoting it for a few days, a few weeks, and being like, all right, it's hit the maximum amount of people. Y'all gonna get tired of seeing me promote it. But also hopefully that means that like if you've been finding excuses to not listen to it, and we all do it. So I'm not like, I'm never the person that's gonna hold you to task and be like, why didn't you listen? When you gonna listen? It's you have all the autonomy of the world if you are a friend, fan, or fam of mine
Mm-hmm.
to time or not listen at all. I would say it's your loss if you don't, but I'm not
Yes.
anybody. And so, but going back to your question, and so originally the plan, well, I'm sorry, let me be very direct and say yes, and I'll come back around to it. But the answer is yes. The I put a post up on either no, it must have been on Wednesday because I doubt I did it on Juneteenth. Um, like what could look like a music video of me being on the trains and rapping. And again, shouts to Sam because she was the one who filmed most of that. The original plan was to film the video and just thug it and do it from my phone. Again, the technology is good enough that you can do it. I had a lesser version iPhone during the pandemic and filmed and edited 5 of my own music videos then. So I was like, I could do it now. But then, so she filmed. I told her, film me, boom, looking at the Long Island Railroad schedule. Film me on the train with this 12-pack of alcoholic seltzers and this flask and da 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 da, whatever. And all of the videos look good. And then I thought to myself, I was like, wait a second. This time last year, I may not have entirely had access to the financial means to hire somebody to do this, but now I do. Like I have a job that pays pretty decently. Shouts to my job, because I like my job too. That's also good, and I don't mind having a full-time job and then doing music when I have the time for it. That's just where I'm at this stage of my life, and I'm okay with that.
Good.
Still perform and make the most of it. So it is what it is.